Hi, everyone. My name is Allison DeGerlia, and thank you for tuning in to my project showcase presentation. So I was a Campus Compact AmeriCorps member serving at Roger Williams University in Bristol, Rhode Island. So at Roger Williams University, a couple years ago, they created the Affordable Excellence Initiative, which was started to address different barriers that students face when it comes to going to college, such as affordable tuition, rising college debt, and job readiness. So Roger Williams has focused on these issues, and because of their focus on that, they created the programs that I worked with during my year at Roger Williams. So I worked with the programs Pathway to Purpose, or P2P, and Striving, Overcome, Achieve, Rise, also known as SOAR. So in these programs, we had about 20 students combined, and these programs are designed as college-ready scholarship programs for first-generation underserved students. So these programs are supposed to give the students different skills, experiences, knowledge, as well as financial support. So P2P is a 4-year program and has some specific requirements, such as taking classes together, academic classes together, having internships, and a study abroad component. Whereas the SOAR program is a first-year program, and so it's only for first years, and there's required classes and meetings, and you get a credit for your tuition bill for the following semester after completing each of the semesters of the program. So with the anti-poverty focus, one of our biggest focuses there was it came to the materials that we were teaching in our classes. So in the fall semester, we had weekly classes, and in the spring semester, we had classes on a bi-weekly basis. And during both of those times, we were also conducting student meetings, either one-on-one or in small groups on a monthly or bi-weekly basis. And so these classes specifically, their goal was to focus on social emotional learning, something that is often also referred to as soft skills. So these are the things that we need to be able to achieve not only in college, but also in the workforce. But they're things that are often not taught in a regular classroom. So through feedback from different students, as well as faculty and staff, we ended up picking the 3 SEL skills of sense of belonging, self-efficacy, and growth mindset. So we decided that for first-year students, these were the most important SEL skills that they needed to be able to do well. And this is something that research also backs up. There's a lot of research that talks about how these SELs can be very important when it comes to student success. So things like academic self-efficacy have been seen as better predictors for students' success compared to their high school GPAs. And sense of belonging is also a very good predictor when it comes to retention rates, so whether a student will re-enroll after their first year. So these issues, while they might not seem as important as, major classes, these are really the things that no matter what you are studying in school are really needed to excel. So for what the work I did in regarding these classes and SEL was I had to learn about these social emotional learning skills and what kind of things increase them. So that was a big focus of the class. Was everything, does it go back to these SEL skills? So yeah, we had classes teaching about those skills. I also created different or gave access to different campus resources. So making sure that students were aware of all the different resources on campus that they already had to them, but maybe didn't know how to access. And in these classes, we also worked on building relationships with different faculty and staff members with the students themselves. So giving them kind of more adults and more people on campus that they can feel connected to and are more likely to ask for help or use the resources they offer. So some outcomes for that class, we had throughout the year, we had 22 classes, over 40 check-in meetings with students. We partnered with over 10 different departments and organizations, and we worked with dozens of staff and faculty members. we also, so we had a end of semester survey that we sent to the students. And on this graph on the right, you can kind of see the results of that, of what the classes that were most useful to them in both the fall and the spring semesters. So this can kind of show the wide range of topics that we covered, things from time management and procrastination, mindfulness, writing tips, work, such as resumes, interview. We talked about identity. So the issues that we talked about really had a wide range of topics. And these also kind of show the different organizations that we partnered with for those classes. We also, in that same survey, we asked students if they would recommend this program to other students, and 100% of the respondents said that they would recommend this program to other first generation underserved students. So I kind of think that speaks volumes to how this program was helpful for the students. Focusing more on students. So here are some student testimonials, some quotes we had from some assessment and feedback that we have gotten from them. So these kinds of quotes, I think, cover a lot of what we were trying to focus on throughout the year and making sure that we were providing for our students. So things such as after the lesson we did on time management and procrastination, that helped them make a schedule that they were able to stick to, or they learned a breathing exercise in the stress management class that they used before their math exam. And then also the other important things such as feeling like they belong on campus. So feeling like they don't have to struggle alone, or that they have resources and that they had this kind of family and that put them more at ease, or that made them have a sense of relief. So it's important to kind of think of all the ways. And I think always the best way to really understand is to hear from the students themselves. So I just wanted to include these different quotes from our students. So when it comes to capacity building, there was a lot of work done in the capacity building field this year. So not only was I the first AmeriCorps that the Intercultural Center has ever had, but it was also the first year of our Pathway to Purpose, or P2P program. So that meant a lot of the work that I was doing was really building from the ground up and making sure that we had a really great foundation to continue to build on when it comes to these kinds of projects. So one of the biggest things I did was this data project and data collection. So before I started, a lot of the data that was being collected on SOAR was kind of more about GPA, student involvement on campus, that kind of thing. There was nothing about how to measure SEL competencies, and there wasn't as much when it came to student feedback or trying to understand the experiences of our students. And there was no background of any kind of data collection for the Pathway to Purpose program. So it was my responsibility to kind of imagine how we wanted to collect data and what did we want to get out of it. So I had to figure out, okay, what are ways that people have measured SEL skills previously. We ended up using a survey to measure most of these things. We also got data from notes from the one-on-one meetings or the small group meetings from different staff and faculty members. But so my job was figuring out what data we wanted to collect, how are we going to collect it, and then once we did collect it, organizing that data and figuring out what does this data show, and then finding out a way how to communicate this data. So this data, is going to be used for internal feedback. So for us to know, does this program really help our students? What did they gain from it? What would they change? As well as communicating within the institution and outside of the institution, the success that we've had in this program and why it is important for our students to be in programs like these. And so this data can also be used for future grant funding opportunities to kind of show or qualify the progress or the work that we do. So to do all these things, I also had to do a ton of research. So I had to research all different kinds of topics such as social emotional learning, first generation college students and their experiences, students of color attending PWIs or predominantly white institutions, as well as distance learning strategies. And then over here on the table on the right, I kind of quantified some of those things. So the number of surveys we did, the responses, the research articles cataloged, resources found for class, curriculum that I created for class, and reports that we've been working on to disseminate all of our progress and what we've been doing in these programs. So this year, as anyone can probably agree with, has had very unique challenges. Some of them caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, some of them were not, but were definitely exacerbated by it. So there was a lot of different challenges and impacts from the pandemic that we had to deal with this year. So when it comes to, for me personally, my job, some of the challenges that I had, one was that we were doing an online learning model. So it was hard to find ways to make sure that students were getting all the information they needed in ways that was engaging for them or in ways that they could understand. Our students ended up being very burnt out doing distance learning. So it was very difficult to get student participation all the time or to have perfect attendance in our classes. So that was something that we worked with and had to continually struggle with all year. Some other issues or challenges that we had was we had some staffing capacity issues within the Intercultural Center. So that meant that the current staff members had a lot of work on their hands more than usual, which means that for what I was doing, I really had to be able to be independent and take initiative with the projects I was working on, because I knew that my my fellow staff members and my supervisor didn't always have the time to be checking in on me or giving me instructions. So it really had to make me be independent and confident in the work that I was doing and kind of not need that constant checking in and validation and making sure that I was getting done everything I needed to do. So that was definitely something I had to kind of build that confidence with. But I definitely think it was something beneficial out of the situation. Like, I think I really learned a lot. And then one of the other challenges we had as a staff was that we lost funding for future Pathway to Purpose cohorts because it was a new program and the institution was having, budget problems related to COVID-19. So that was very disappointing because we think this is a really great program and we've seen really great impacts on our students. But it also kind of lit a fire under us, knowing that this might possibly be the only first year of the Pathway to Purpose program. So we really wanted to make sure that we were documenting everything that we were doing and trying to make it the best year possible so that in the future, if we want to try and find other ways to find funding for the program or maybe create a new program based off of this program, that we really have all the data and all the understanding of what this year was like. And how we can use that to argue why it should be there or the things that worked and the things that didn't. So shifting focus a little bit, looking at different student challenges. Our students kind of had challenges on every single level. So things such as online learning, a lot of our students struggled with online learning and found it really hard to, comprehend the things they were learning or feel motivated in their classes, feeling like they had to teach themselves a lot. So that really took a toll on a lot of our students. And outside of just online learning, our students were also facing a lot of their own challenges. So a lot of our students had family obligations and kind of felt that pull from being at home or their home and being at school and trying to figure out how to balance those priorities. A lot of our students were also working while in school. So it made it very difficult for them to always just be focused on school. There were times that students would have to come to classes while they were at work because they couldn't get off of work or had to miss things because of work. A lot of our students also were facing different mental health issues, which were definitely also were brought a little more to light during the pandemic, but it also made it harder for us as a faculty and staff to be able to identify when students were struggling because we were often only seeing them in an online platform. And it made it hard for students to be able to access the resources that they might need, feeling not as connected to campus or not knowing where to go or or how to verbalize what they were feeling. So it was just very hard. And on top of all of that, we also had some racial bias incidents happen at the Roger Williams campus. So there was at least one racial bias incident, every major one every semester. So that also really impacted our students who were also already struggling when it came to school and juggling all the things that they were. And so when these events happened, it really impacted our students because it really made them question whether they belong on this campus or whether they are accepted on this campus and whether they should be in higher education as a whole. So that kind of just added another layer that our students had to deal with. It was not only these issues, but also not feeling welcome or not feeling home on campus. And in a semester where students were already very socially isolated, these kinds of incidents speak even more volume because they have less to go on and they're connected to the community less. And so if you look here on the right from one of our surveys, this is a combined response from the winter or the fall and the spring semesters. And so these were kind of asking students, so what about being a first generation college student had they struggled with? So here you can see a majority, a lot of our students, they have felt out of place. They felt they've needed guidance. They felt unprepared. They felt overwhelmed and stressed. So these kind of show the challenges that they were facing and the things that we were trying to combat this year. And so I am excited because I am actually renewing my project. So I'm going to be at Roger Williams for this coming year. So I'm very excited for all of our future projects. So I thought I would share some of the things that we are going to be taking on in this year 2 of the Vista, some new things we are going to be doing. So one is that we are going to be instituting a fall orientation for the incoming SOAR cohorts. And this is kind of really to get to our students before classes start or before the craziness of the semester so that we can really, we're not trying to play catch up when it comes to getting the students to feel confident and comfortable on campus. So we're hoping that this will allow them, to feel connected to campus, to the other students on campus, and to feel confident on campus and using the resources on campus. Some other things that we are going to be doing is that we are going to be revamping our student mentoring program. So having in the fall semester, we are looking for upperclassmen that were in the SOAR program or in the P2P program to be mentors for the incoming SOAR students as they have similar experiences and understand what it's like to be in the program. And we're also hoping to do some mentoring with the freshman SOAR, mentoring high school seniors that would also be first generation students in the spring semester. So that's a project that we're really excited about. And then another thing we're going to be doing is creating a SOAR alumni network. So this is going to be the first year that we will have had students who had been in the SOAR program in all of the grades in undergrad. So we really want to make a more robust alumni network so that we can continue to support our SOAR students after the first year, give them opportunities to connect to the campus or take leadership opportunities or to continue to build on their SEL competencies. So even though this is a first year program, we want to try and add more opportunities and experiences for our students after their first year because we know that these problems don't magically go away after their first year, but it's something that they have to continue to be challenged with or continue to work on. So that pretty much is the end of my presentation. I just wanted to say thank you for watching. And I wanted to give a shout out to my supervisor, Zoila. She's been really great this year and has really kind of let me spread my wings and really do a lot of really good work. So if it wasn't for her, I definitely wouldn't be able to do the things I've been able to do. And I also wanted to give a shout out to all the students that I work with. I just think they are all really incredible, and seeing all the things they've been able to accomplish and the things they've been able to do has really been inspiring, and all of their hard work of trying to get through this really tough year. So I'm really proud of all of them and all the work that they've done. So I wanted to give those shout outs, but thank you all for watching and have a great rest of your day.